Raise your hand if you are sick and tired of skincare products that promise miracles only to disappoint, end up unused on your shelf because you fell for the marketing hype. Well, you're in luck. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down some really important things that you need to know about when it comes to decoding skincare claims and making sense of skincare ingredient lists. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be better equipped to sort through the hype and make better skincare purchases that you actually use and finish. We're going to go through the truth behind popular marketing buzzwords. I'm going to highlight ingredients that are actually worth paying attention to. And I'm going to give you pointers on how to read skincare ingredient lists without needing to have a full-on chemistry PhD. First of all, let's sort through the skincare lies, or lies by omission, I suppose you might say, depending on how you look at things. It seems like every year there is a new miracle ingredient. The more sciencey, yeah, that's a word, they can make it sound, the more eye-catching. There's a lot of pressure in the skincare industry to constantly be innovating, or to at least create the illusion that you are innovating. You have to stand out from your competitors, and you have to keep people coming back. Every year there's some new miracle ingredient hyped up for skin regeneration, anti-aging, even claiming to fade scars overnight. Right now I can think of many skincare ingredients that are way overhyped, prematurely overhyped, like interesting science when you're looking at cells in a dish or animal models, but really not quite there yet. PDRN, exosomes. We should be very skeptical when it comes to skincare products that have new and innovative technology. Have they really done their diligence? Is the science really there on the optimal delivery system, the best concentration? And have we clearly delineated what are potential off-target effects, especially as we are diving even deeper into next-gen skincare? And if you want more information on that, check out my recent video on next-gen skincare. We talk all things CRISPR and gene editing. Yeah, I know. Back to the future, move over. Exosomes, for example, are marketed right now as these powerful skin rejuvenators. While they show a lot of promise for a variety of biomedical applications, the science is simply not there to say that putting them into a cream or a serum or a toner or whatever is actually going to deliver these in any meaningful way to affect any sort of true desired outcomes. We just don't have the robust research on these yet to substantiate the claims that brands are making about them in skincare products. PDRN, or polydeoxyribonucleotide, really hyped up. Small fragments of DNA that are promoted for collagen boosting effects and improving skin regeneration. In vitro, cells in a dish, or small animal models, there's a lot of interesting science going on. However, you really have to think critically here. Delivering small DNA fragments to a barrier, let alone are they going to go where they need to go? Is the timing, the chronology going to be correct? These are really important questions. And like I said, what are the undesirable outcomes of doing this? Then there's spicules. Spicules are microneedle-like particles, you might say, derived from sea sponges. Allegedly, they enhance absorption, help with ingredient penetration, and they also allegedly exfoliate the skin. While in theory, they can be a great way to enhance delivery of things, they're not the most precise, and there are a lot of potential concerns with regards to these spicules and adverse skin reactions, irritation. We don't need to be driving every single thing into our skin deeply in order for it to benefit our skin. Trying to just amp things up, drive things in, really increases the likelihood that you're going to have an adverse event. Always remain skeptical though. Are the results you're seeing from a given product due to the actual hyped up ingredient in that product, or simply the result of the fact that you are now moisturizing the skin consistently because the product is in a moisturizing base? Now, if you've been following me for a while, you already know I am not a fan of the clean beauty movement. I say that in air quotes because what the heck is it? They can't make up their mind. It varies from brand to brand what they deem clean. If you're not aware, the marketing around clean beauty, clean ingredients is not based in science at all. It's just fear-mongering around perfectly effective, safe skincare ingredients over others. There's no standard definition. And when it comes to natural, not everything in nature is good for our skin. Poison ivy comes from nature. Don't want to be putting that into a serum. Natural is not always the safest or most effective thing, not to mention clean beauty and natural. These terms, they're not regulated as far as how they're used. There isn't really any standard for what constitutes natural or clean. So brands can just say that without anything backing it up. Even worse, many clean beauty brands forego forego really effective preservative systems because they want to make it seem as though those are not clean or they're harmful, despite ample research that shows that they are not only safe and effective, but they help cut down on the risk of adverse events, and they are less likely, in the case of parabens, to cause contact dermatitis compared to other preservative systems. The preservative systems that are replaced, because you have to have one, are often not optimal. As a result, you have products with a shorter shelf life that are more vulnerable to degradation and contamination, and a greater risk of skin irritation. Here's another one, this illusion of ingredient transparency. Many brands hide behind various ingredient descriptions. Instead of telling you exactly how much of an active ingredient they have, they just say the ingredient without any mention with regards to percentages. That is often the case. Like, how much are we actually getting? That being said, do we know how much we need to be getting in order to yield results? Some people think that having more of a given ingredient makes it a better product, but that is not always the case. More sometimes not only increases the likelihood of irritation, but in some cases it negates any positive effect that the ingredient could have. You need to have ingredients not just there, but there at an effective percentage. But in many cases, either the effective percentage strength range has not been determined, or they're just not disclosing what the percentage is. They're using very low percentages that are not effective. Here's where labels can get really sneaky. Many times brands will hype up an ingredient that is of interest to the consumer, and they'll say that the ingredient is there, but if you actually read the label, they're using an alternative, something similar. And if you look really carefully at the type of language that they use in marketing it, you see, like, wait a minute, I was under the impression that this was this, but it's really not. For example, retinol. Retinol is a vitamin A derivative used in cosmetics, has good evidence to support its efficacy for improving the look of aging skin. However, a lot of brands will use retinol esters, not the same thing as retinol. Retinol esters, like retinol palmitate, for example, do not help to improve collagen production, wrinkles. They don't work like retinol. But a lot of times they will market the product as having vitamin A for wrinkles and anti-aging, and you think you're getting a retinol. Sometimes they'll even use retinol-like language. Not to mention Bakuchiol, which is often promoted as a plant-based retinol, despite lack of evidence to support that it actually works like retinol. The research that we have on Bakuchiol suggests it's an antioxidant and that it may help stabilize retinol. Sure, it may be helpful for improving the appearance of the skin, but people want certain ingredients because they want certain confirmed outcomes. Bakuchiol versus retinol, the research comparing them is not really there. Here's one that I recently came across, and it's using ginseng extract and claiming PDRN. So I already touched on earlier in today's video how PDRN in and of itself is an ingredient that is just overhyped, unlikely doing anything. But some brands take it a step further. They don't include PDRN, which is derived in many cases from salmon sperm DNA, but rather they use a plant-based PDRN, aka ginseng extract, which it's unclear has ever been shown to have any appreciable amount of PDRN, let alone demonstrate efficacy. This was a real eye-opener for me because prior to PDRN becoming trendy as an ingredient, ginseng extract was not anything that you would think about as far as having some active DNA molecule in it. No one ever talked about it that way. It's simply the fact that PDRN is trending. There's some evidence that ginseng extract may be a source of PDRN, but whether or not the ginseng extract that is used actually has PDRN, that is a huge unknown, but brands still will use it and market it that way. Here's another one, vitamin C. Vitamin C serum is one of the most sought after skincare products, and a brand is almost obligated to have a vitamin C serum. Ascorbic acid has been shown to yield a variety of benefits for the skin. When formulated correctly, that's key, meaning the ascorbic acid is stable and can penetrate the skin because of the overall formulation of the product. Yes, it can improve sun damage, hyperpigmentation, and improve collagen production, and reduce, obviously, then wrinkles as a result. Great, all wonderful things. Due to challenges with regards to formulating it so it can effectively do that, there are alternative forms of vitamin C out there, like vitamin C esters, that do not have the evidence behind them that ascorbic ascorbic acid does. They have to get into the skin, which it seems as though they do, but they have to be converted to ascorbic acid, and it does not appear as though these reliably do that. So a lot of people are buying vitamin C serums, which probably are not delivering the results that they're actually looking for, either because it's ascorbic acid that isn't well formulated, or it is one of these vitamin C derivatives that hasn't been shown to actually improve collagen production. So is everything in skincare complete BS made up? No, there are actually quite a few skincare ingredients that have good evidence behind them and can work. Recently, I did a video on the top 5 skincare ingredients for anti-aging that actually work. There are a variety of ingredients as well that are well established to be very effective for improving water content in the skin, for moisturizing the skin. There are a variety of ingredients that help improve barrier function, hydrate the skin, aka moisturize the skin, such as ceramides, urea, hyaluronic acid, petrolatum to reduce water loss, dimethicone also to reduce water loss. You have a variety of exfoliating acids, alpha hydroxy acids, polyhydroxy acids, salicylic acid with a good track record of exfoliating the skin. You have niacinamide, an antioxidant, which probably has some of the most research as far as a cosmetic ingredient, not only for acting as an antioxidant to ward off oxidative stress and help with inflammation, but to help with hyperpigmentation, to help with redness, to help with moisture barrier integrity, and to reduce glycation that would lead to skin yellowing. Cosmetic retinol and cosmetic retinaldehyde are active forms of topical vitamin A with a good track record of improving the visible signs of skin aging and have been shown to work to improve collagen production, ultimately reducing wrinkle depth. Then, of course, there's sunscreen. Without a doubt, one of the most effective evidence-based things you can include in your skincare routine for protecting your skin and keeping it healthy long term. There are a variety of different sunscreen types. There's chemical, aka organic, meaning it has organic carbon compounds as the active sunscreen ingredients, the active sun protection ingredients, or you have inorganic sheets of metal oxides, namely zinc or titanium dioxide, and then you have hybrid, which includes both inorganic and organic active sunscreen ingredients. The organic, aka chemical sunscreens, they can burn and stain depending on how the product is formulated, but they offer very effective broad spectrum sunscreen, and importantly, they don't leave any white cast. The inorganic mineral sunscreens tend to leave a white cast, especially on deeper skin tones. Inorganic sunscreens also can be a little bit more difficult to spread on the surface of the skin, making it more likely that perhaps you get uneven coverage, and they tend to be a lot thicker, less breathable, so not the most comfortable thing to wear in hot, humid conditions. But they're a great option for sensitive skin, and some people just prefer them. Hybrid sunscreens are always somewhere in the middle with the pluses and minuses as far as spread, feel, cast, but they're an effective broad spectrum option as well. What about the ingredient list? Let's talk about some things to know about looking at a skincare ingredient list. So a lot of people get hung up on the order of appearance of ingredients. They assume that if an ingredient is not high up, like the first, second, or third ingredient on the list, then it must not be effective. But getting back to the point I made earlier in the video, higher percentages, higher strengths, more of an ingredient does not necessarily mean it is more effective. And having an ingredient lower down on the list does not mean that the product is subpar compared to another product that has got it higher on the ingredient list, because overall formulation influences how effective that ingredient is at getting into the skin and working, how stable it is. You can have a very high percentage of an ingredient in a product, but the product delivery system is not that great. You don't actually end up with that much of the ingredient getting to access your skin. It's helpful to read ingredient labels to know what ingredients are in it in case you're allergic to something, in case you find that a particular ingredient is irritating, and it's also important to read ingredient lists to know what else is in there that you are getting so that you don't end up seeking that ingredient out in another product. In other words, reading your skincare ingredient lists and knowing what is in your products can help you buy fewer products, because you're like, oh, wait, that sunscreen I'm using has niacinamide. I don't need to buy a niacinamide serum for my morning skincare routine. I'm already using it. My moisturizer also has niacinamide. Wow, I don't really need to be buying anything else with niacinamide. Granted, it is in a lot of things, so you might still do that, but you get where I'm going here, that knowing what's in your products that's not advertised on the front, that's not the call out ingredient as part of the ingredient story, if you will, in the marketing, it can be a game changer. And so if you're not aware of the ingredients in your products, you might just assume that it's only one thing, when in reality it offers various other things. What ingredients should you look for to avoid, though, to avoid skin problems? Are there any ingredients that are a no-no? Well, if you are allergic to any ingredient, absolutely, you have to avoid that ingredient, not just in skincare, but in everything else, personal care products outside of skincare. But you also have to be aware of if it's present in household cleaning products and in fabrics. I mean, certain ingredients can pop up in a lot of sneaky places. Fragrance is a common allergen. Fragrance is like a bucket of a variety of different ingredients. People often maybe develop allergy to that. It's like one of the most common allergens in skincare. And it also can be irritating for a lot of people, can precipitate a flush of redness, for example, due to certain compounds in the fragrance mix that is used. Essential oils are another one. Remember what I said, not all that is natural is necessarily good. Essential oils, however, do have, in many cases, a variety of beneficial compounds in them, but regardless, they're kind of a mixed bag of things, and allergy to them is relatively common, as well as irritation. A big reason, though, for irritation to skincare products is actually just using too many of them. So having these over-the-top skin flooding routines, multi-step routines, that actually just increases the likelihood of irritation. You start to get diminishing returns from your skincare products when you start piling on serum after serum after serum. Another reason for irritation to products is not necessarily an ingredient itself, but rather perhaps you are using the product incorrectly. For example, if you are putting your glycolic acid serum on your eyelids and then wondering why you have dry eyelids and little wrinkles around the eyes, well, eyelid skin's pretty delicate and probably don't want to do that. Also, are you getting dry, cracked lips? Are the corners of your mouth sore and raw? Well, maybe you are getting that glycolic acid on your lips as well. There's not the stratum corneum on the lips to be targeted by the glycolic acid. It ends up being very irritating there. So stick with what your skin needs and take a less is more approach. At the end of the day, the skincare routine that I recommend to anyone really is cleanser, moisturizer, and sunscreen. And even those three products, for a lot of people, are unnecessary to use all three. For example, sunscreens, they're moisturizers. Some people just don't really find that they necessarily need a moisturizer. They've never used one. They don't find that they have dryness or sensitivity. They're like, what exactly is this doing for me? I see no difference. I feel no difference. In which case, then you don't need to use a moisturizer. You know what I mean? Or a lot of people feel like they have the cleanser, so they must wash their face twice a day. When in reality, some people only need to wash their face once a day at the end of the day, and that makes the cleanser last that much longer, not using it twice a day. Sunscreen on the daily is a must, though. I do recommend that. Unless you live somewhere where it's dark outside during the day for stretches of the year, in which case you don't need it, but again, it is a moisturizer. Another reason to wear sunscreen on a daily basis is not only because the studies show that people who wear it on a daily basis get the best results from it, as opposed to people who just put it on intermittently when they feel like they have to, but because it reinforces the habit and you don't really end up thinking about it, and it's just something you end up doing on the regular because it's just part of your daily routine. All right, guys, so those are the key points I wanted to highlight in today's video with regards to marketing claims, skincare ingredient lists, how to sort through some of the noise. I really hope you guys found this video informative and educational. On the end slate, I'm going to put my recent video all about the future of anti-aging skincare, so watch that one next because there's a lot of buzz coming. All right, guys, if you like this one, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye!